Hey guys! So for today's video, I'm going to show you my foundation routine. I first prep my skin with my St. Ives Timeless Skin Collagen Elastin Moisturizer. Now, I like to do this to create that barrier between my face and my makeup. I just dot that around my face and gently massage that with my clean fingers. To prime my face, I'm going to take my Smashbox primer water and spray that all over my face. Once that's set in, I take my Dior Skin Nude Air Serum Foundation, and I really love this foundation. However, it does dry pretty quickly, so you do have to work fast with this product. I like to do one side of my face at a time, so what I do is I just add a few drops at the back of my hand and dot it on the first half of my face. Now, since this does dry pretty quickly, I like to spray some Fix Plus on my brush just to add a little moisture to it. Once I'm done with the first half of my face, I do the exact same thing on the other half of my face. This foundation has sheer coverage, so I do like to go back and add a second layer on the areas where I need them the most, which are in my chin, cheeks, and forehead areas. To highlight and conceal my under eye area, I like to use my LA Girl Proconceal Concealer in the shade Yellow Corrector. I use this as it really brightens up my under eye area. I also like to apply that on my chin, forehead, and down the bridge of my nose. Now, I know this may look like it's a lot of product for some of you guys, but it's really not. So I just like to take my damp beauty blender and blend it out seamlessly. Once that's all blended in, I like to set my under eye area with my Mercier Loose Translucent Powder with that same damp beauty blender. Now, I like to use this powder as I find that it's finely milled, and I noticed that my concealer doesn't crease as much when I use this powder. Just going to set the rest of my concealer using my Real Techniques setting brush. For contour, I like to lightly carve out my cheekbones with my Nars Laguna bronzer, and I super love to use my Nars ITA Brush with it as I find that this brush is perfect for contouring. Now, I know that there are people who hate this brush because they find it super expensive and useless, but I personally love this brush. To further bronze out my face, I like to take these two shades from my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. I think it's called Dim Light and Radiant Light. I'm not really sure, but I'll just leave it in the description box down below. I like to do this extra step because my face is pretty round, so I do this to add more dimension to my face. So the blush I'm going to be using is Orgasm by Nars, and I'm just going to apply that on my cheekbones. Then I'm just going to sweep that excess powder away. For the eyes, I'm just going to take that same Nars Laguna bronzer with my Morphe M505 brush and just apply that on my crease using windshield wiper motions. To give more life to the eyes, I'm just going to take my Lou-manizer by the Balm, and using my ring finger, I'm just going to apply that all over my eyelid. Then we're just gonna blend everything in with that same fluffy brush we used earlier. The mascara I am currently using is my Wet n Wild Mega Protein Mascara. Now, I don't really like to wear mascara every day because I find it super hassle to remove, and sometimes I get panda eyes, so yeah. But on the occasions that I do like to put a generous amount. I don't contour my nose every day because I like to go for a more natural look, but I decided to show you guys anyway. So I'm just going to take that same Nars Laguna bronzer with that same Morphe fluffy brush and just blend that on the sides of my nose. Now, I'm not really an expert when it comes to brows. Like, I I feel like my eyebrows have never been on fleek. But on a daily basis, I do my brows because it does make a difference. So sometimes when I'm lazy, I just use this eyebrow mascara from It's Top Professional, and I just brush that on my brows. So now it's time for my favorite part, highlighting. I first spray some Fix Plus on my brush just to further intensify my highlight. And my go-to highlight is, of course, Fairy Lou-manizer by the Balm, because it's the bomb. I'm just kidding. Because I find that this is perfect for every day. Like, it's not too glowy, but it doesn't make you oily either. It just gives you that right amount of glow. So yeah. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you a little trick that I do. I just take that same highlighter and apply that on the tip of my nose and also on my nose bridge, just to give it a bit more of that lifted effect. To top off this look, I'm going to take MAC Coral Bliss lipstick and generously apply that on my lips. So that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. So this is actually my first video ever, and I noticed while editing it, I wasn't really smiling that much. I don't know if it's because I felt awkward because it's my first time, but I don't know. So if you guys want to see more of my videos, please click the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!